Welcome to Secret Heart Broadcasting. I'm Carrie Penny. This episode begins now. On this episode of Secret Heart Broadcasting, the indefatigable Marilyn Potts. And I feel like we're having this. We sometimes have lunches, and we have the most wonderful conversations. So I feel like it's like a lunch with Marilyn. I first heard of Marilyn when I was in high school, and at the time she was running the successful drama program at a rival high school, and a high school I think more noted for its football and Friday night lights than musical theater. But you changed that, and I think it's safe to say you managed to get those linebackers in touch with their inner artist.
I did a few.
You did. Welcome. Thank you for coming to the show, by the way.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Marilyn is an educator, a professor emeritus. She has received many awards for her arts activism. She's also a mom, a grandmother, a wife, an actor, director, and community leader. And she's also, I think, kind of a master at listening to what I'm calling Secret Heart.
Thank you.
Given your resume, it would be easy to assume that you grew up in a big city and attended a lot of cultural events with your family, but I know that that is probably not true. Why don't we start at the very beginning?
Okay.
You were born on...
I was born on April 10th, 1944 in North Battleford, Saskatchewan. And I lived there. I don't even think I left North Battleford, Saskatchewan until I was in grade 8. I had a finger that had to be looked at or something. My mother passed away when I was 12.
Oh, wow.
So I was pretty much, I wasn't surrounded by women at all. I had two older brothers. One was 17 years older, one was 15 years older, and my father. So I was kind of surrounded by men. My dad ran a butcher shop and a locker plant where you could take your meat and leave it and whatever. And my brothers worked there, but one of my brothers was a tap dancer and a bit of an entertainer. So I was involved in high school drama, but it was kind of like a church group that would meet on Sunday nights, and they would do some plays and whatever. And my brother directed me in one play. That was my whole experience.
And did you have a sense that there was something about drama or the arts that was, igniting something in you?
Yes, I actually started in dance. My mother did put me into dance, so I took ballet. And when I was 6, whoever the ballet teacher was, she must have been from Europe or whatever, and she put me on toe shoes when I was 6.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
my knee went out. My first knee went out, I think, when I was 8. And then I've had knee problems ever since. But I think my love of dance enhanced my interest in drama. And then when I went to university, I was part of the choir at St. Thomas More College and a part of the drama department. And Greystone Players, I actually went and did makeup for them. But that was really it from university, too. I studied English and social and philosophy minor.
So losing your mom at 12 is, you're right on the cusp of womanhood. It's,
right.
I can't imagine the poignancy of that loss, and also, as you said, who was your woman role model growing up?
Yeah.
So who were your women? Who were the women?
I had 2 sister-in-laws, but they were much, older than me, and I'm sure they kept their eye on me. But basically, it was me and my dad. And my dad had the philosophy that if he watched my friends, and he thought my friends came from a good family, that I would be okay. And I think that worked, actually. And I was I'm an extrovert, so I had no athletic ability at all. When you came back from lunch and they were playing in the field, there was no such thing as a gym. They would say, "Oh, hurry, we don't want Marilyn in our team."
Well, and you had your bad knees from these crazy ballet shoes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Anyway, it was. I had a lot of lovely friends, and a lot of community is such an important thing. And in a small town, all of my mother's friends obviously took care of us. I remember my mother embarrassing me by dancing around in the kitchen and singing, and and I'd go, oh my God, what just the things that my daughter did when I did that, and my granddaughter does now, and whatever. But I really had, I had very little female support, except for the sisters who took care of us and taught me. I went to convent school, and I was taught by nuns, and they were very good to me. Most of them were quite wonderful.
Now, one thing I learned in our last lunch together was, as a matter of fact, you had, thought that maybe you wanted to be a nun.
Yeah, when I was in grade 12, I felt that I think it was because any female support that I had come from the nuns that the teachers that I really got along well with. Okay, so I decided that I was going to become a nun, and I gave away everything. And my father had become Catholic. He was Lutheran, and he had no idea what was going on, but that was fine. He was great with everything. I went to the Sisters of Sign in Saskatoon, and I chose them because they were a teaching order, I think. But I found I had been on my own for, and I mean really on my own. So I was probably stubborn and wanted to do my own thing, and I found obedience quite hard. And so I decided. And I also found some of my most spiritual moments in what we called benediction and whatever. And I had some lovely times, but I just knew that this was not for me. So I left, and I was in time to go to university. So, and my father was like, "Now you're home. What's going on?"
I've already made your room into a...
Exactly. But it was fine. It was fine.
I think that's really interesting that you knew to trust your heart at that, because you would have been 17 at that time, or not?
I think I was 17. Yeah, 17 or 18 at the most.
So first of all, to make a claim, give away everything, I'm showing up, I'm going to be a nun, and then to realize, oh, it doesn't feel right.
No. Well, when you talked about your truth, like people always think, people die of a broken heart and they go in and become a nun or whatever. And I think if you do it correctly, it is what you want, and it's just that belief and that faith, hey? And I certainly had the faith. That's all I was brought up in. I was certainly very black and white at that time. I didn't even know there was such a thing as gray. But I knew in my heart, and you talk about the truth, and I looked at what you said and what it is to follow your truth, and I thought, I don't know what that means, but you've just explained it. I did follow my truth. I knew that this was not for me, and so that I would go on and I would go to university.
So you went to university in Saskatoon?
In Saskatoon, yeah.
And you said you took philosophy.
I had philosophy as a minor, and I majored in English and history.
And did you know you always wanted to teach?
I knew I wanted to teach, yes. I thought I wanted to teach. My second year of university, I had a friend who was a nun, and she came from northern Alberta, northern Saskatchewan, sorry. And their grade 1 teacher had a nervous breakdown. So she said, "Will you come and teach grade 1?" This was in northern Saskatchewan. I'm not going to remember the name right now, but I'll.
But a town where the teacher had a nervous breakdown.
A very small town, and my dad had to drive me there. Okay, so I said, "Sure, I'll come for the month of June." So my dad drove me there, and he said, "Okay, now if you don't like this, I'm not coming back to get you till June 30th. So this is it, okay?" And there I was teaching grade 1. I had no brothers or sisters. I was like an only child, hey? I had nieces and nephews that just annoyed me. So I go to this class, and they're terrified. They won't even talk to me. It wasn't like they were bad. So I covered my eyes, and I looked at them, and I said, "Good morning, grade 1." And one little kid giggled, and then a few more giggled. And then I got them on my side, hey? And I didn't really know how to play. I'd never done, like, field day. So the grade 8 principal had to take my grade 1s for field day, and I taught his grade 8 social. There was a lovely little nun in grade 2 that I taught dance. I taught dance for phys ed, hey? And she said, "Can I bring the grade 2s to dance?" And I said, "Sure," And I took them on little field trips. I mean, I had my heels and my nice dress the first day, and I thought I'd cut across this yard, and a cow chased me. Like, I mean, I was so, I mean, you know, and I ran and I was so scared. And of course, everybody in town knew because it's a small town, you know. And so I survived. And they had used all their books and whatever. So in those days, you had, it was like gelatin, and you put the work on the gelatin and smashed it down, and then you'd get maybe 4 things, and then you'd do it again and
so
again.
this is how you're making
This
copies.
is how I'm making copies.
Wow.
Yeah. So the superintendent came in June, and they said, do you want to just stay and teach? And I said, oh, no, I'm going back to university. I'm not teaching elementary school ever. So I survived, but it was not necessarily my thing. But they taught me a lot, you know. They taught me how to play, and I taught them not to be afraid of life, you know. But again, I knew that elementary school was not my forte.
So you went back and then finished
Went back
your
to
degree?
university and finished my degree, yeah.
And then what happened, Marilyn Potts?
Then I came to Calgary, and I taught at St. Francis, and I met my husband at St. Francis. And when we got married, we got married at Easter time, and then one of us had to go because you couldn't have 2 married people in the same school, or a married couple in the same school. And of course, I had to go because I was the female. And I often say I never ever felt that I lost something out by being a female. But I did. That very first thing, I had to go to Grandin, and I loved it. And I was at Grandin for quite a while. And excuse me, I was at St. Francis first. And when I was at St. Francis, they wanted to do a play, so I said, yeah, I'd help with that. But there was nobody to do drama there. So one of the questions you asked me was, any women who've mapped the way I think and whatever, it would be Joan McLeod. And Joan McLeod was the supervisor of fine arts at the Calgary Catholic School Board. But all of a sudden, I get a knock on my door, and this lady I've never seen before pulls me in the hall and says, I want to start a drama program, and I'm wondering if you will teach it. I had been in one play in my life that my brother directed, and I, of course, said, oh, yes, I'd love to do that, because I was young and stupid. I knew everything. I could do that, you know. And so she said, I will assist you in any way possible. And I said, okay, I'll do it. So she phoned the University of Calgary Drama Department. That whole staff came out at different times and assisted me. If I wanted to teach movement, she gave me the money and hired someone to come in, and they would teach me. And I learned, I had no qualifications to begin with, other than the fact that I was an English teacher and knew theater or
and
whatever.
Had been in a play when you were 6.
And oh no, I was in high school and I was in the play.
Oh, of course.
No, and we had nothing in elementary school. But I learned what my forte is. I don't know everything. So I will go to the people who do know and get their help. So my students were taught by John Morrell. John Morrell came in. He was playwright at Alberta Theatre Projects. He was a playwright there. And I phoned and wanted help. John Morrell came in, and he taught my students, and myself, I might add, playwriting. And he did that for about 5 years.
So you're always looking for the best people to assist you.
That's right.
Well, that's a piece of wisdom, right? To know that you don't know everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I think that was my forte. And everybody who knows me will say, well, she never gave you a chance to say no. She would just say, you know, you'll do this, won't you? I don't know how I got everybody to do it, but I don't honestly think anybody ever said no to me. You know, I think they just felt so sorry for me. And the other thing was we had such a community of drama teachers. Like, I knew your drama teacher very well. I'm still close friends. My book club that I'll talk about when I talk about the book is for drama teachers, you know, and they all helped me. But you came into a school that didn't have a drama program. Correct.
And was there uptake then? Because I would think that, well, if they don't know what they don't have, who's going, maybe no one would be interested in
Well,
drama.
I said I'd do a play, and so I said I would do The Tempest. Just, interesting little play that I'll do, hey? So all the English teachers helped me. The art teacher drew the backdrop of the forest and whatever. The music teacher helped me with the music and whatever. People have always been very supportive. And I think they are supportive because I never asked you to do something and then told you how to do it. Okay? So I would say, okay, Carrie, I want you to come in and teach them something here about commercials and voice and whatever. But I wouldn't tell you how to do it. I would let you do it, and then I would learn from you. And I think there's a great tendency sometime, if you are very good at something, that you don't have that if you're really good at something, that you don't understand how someone else cannot be.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying?
Me and math teachers.
Math teachers. Yes, yeah. I mean, I have every math teacher at every school I've ever taught at has got my drama kids through school. They may think I got them through school, but the math teacher always got them through math.
Now, were kids interested in being in a play? Kids at this high school?
Oh, sure.
That had never...
Oh, yeah, they wanted to.
And tell me about the kids. Are they, high school kids, I remember high school as being you could not pay me enough money to go back to high school. You were so, keeping in the, it was very, I don't have the courage to be a full rebel, I think. That's truth.
Okay.
And yet I want, it's very hard to be who you really are in high school.
Yeah. I think the importance of drama in high school is that it is a community. It is a safe place. And in the drama room itself, it was always safe. It was always safe because I made it safe. Nobody could laugh at anyone else. No one could I was tough love. I was not, the sweet little old lady. I wasn't even old then. I was tough love. But I demanded of them that they do their best. And their best was different for all of them, okay? All my technicians were fabulous because I couldn't even work a lighting board or do any of that kind of stuff. Once the first kids were taught, they taught the rest of them for 30 years. But it was important. And one of the questions was, how do you get all these kids involved? Well, the minute they're happy and confident in something that they're doing, and they get some success, and in drama there's so many different things, costumes, sets, lights, whatever, they have a sense of pride in themselves. And the other thing I think is really important is that you take them to professional theater, you take them, I was part of the High School Drama Festival the whole time I taught, all 32 years, and I loved it, and my kids loved it because we would go and we would see something that someone else has done. Your drama teacher at Joe did exceptional things. Mm-hmm. And you'd see that and you'd say, oh my God, wonder if we could do that. I'd love to do that. I took the first musical to the High School Drama Festival, and the other guys were like, oh my God, you can do a musical here, whatever. But if you only do your own thing in your own space, then you kind of think you're hot stuff, and you're probably not.
Mm-hmm. I think you're just, as I'm listening to you, I think what drama gave me was the idea that the world is bigger, right? First of all, plays have been around forever, right? The problems I'm encountering as a kind of angsty 16-year-old have been documented throughout the ages, and that life is bigger than this town I grew up in. This sounds like the plot to Flashdance. But
No, but it's so true, because the philosophy of the arts, is that it allows you to question, to provoke, and to stimulate society to examine its traditions. So things that happen today, like I've been at this for almost 50 years. So it's things have changed so much, The very first play I did at Grandin was in some hippie cafe, and they had their bodies painted, and they were dressed in cellophane or whatever, and my God, I don't know why I ever did that. you know, and but the important thing is it's communication, okay? And you're showing the world. I don't care if it's drama, art, music, dance, or whatever. You're showing the world that you recognize things and you interpret things, and everybody is different. And I think we teach empathy, and I think empathy is so missing right now.
Yeah,
so missing.
I would agree. And I wanted to, well, I mean, maybe we've covered that, but we live in an age now where STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math is important. It's how things progress in one way in our society. But the A in there, people would say the STEAM, add the arts, is really important. I believe that is true. Why do you believe that is true? Well, you've talked about empathy.
Yeah, empathy. And I think that we don't understand unless we actually see something. So if I see a painting that shows me about war, that might mean more to me seeing how those people feel and whatever. If I go to a play that deals with homosexuality or transgender or something that I don't know or understand, that will teach me the empathy, because then I see these people as human beings. A piece of music can just hit you, can strike you. The one book, you asked me about books, but the one book that I just finished reading, and I can't talk about it a lot because I'm going to read it a second time, it's by Anne Michaels, and it's called Held.
I'm just reading that book.
It is fabulous.
Okay.
It is poetry. It covers 4 generations. It's philosophy. It's spirituality. It's science science with the explanation of feeling and emotions involved. So when you brought up the science part in the AI or whatever, I thought, because the first page of the book, they talked about photo.
Capturing ghosts.
Yeah, capturing ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to look that word up. I didn't know what that word meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just finished that book. I'm going to reread it. It's
I'm
fabulous.
Looking forward to reading it. And there's Anne Michaels, a Canadian poet.
Yep, absolutely.
An author.
Yeah.
This idea of empathy, again, I'm thinking back, in drama for me, I also met people I wouldn't have normally met.
Oh, of course.
Because it's this melding pot. It's not, and I don't know if this is still true in high school today. Maybe my daughter could tell me. But are there still these different silos of people? But drama was everybody.
Yeah, I think it was a melding pot. A lot of people would go in, like in my day, and to begin with, they would come in and they'd think, oh, five easy credits, whatever. Well, they learned about that, but and then I would have people I think you have people who need help, and you allow them to have some self-esteem in a different way, and they like school again or whatever. And I always really cared about my students and valued them as human beings. But I also had real brains, like really smart people who needed to get out of their head. They just needed to get out of their head and get a life. And those people mingled. The only time when I had Carla, my daughter, when I had my daughter, I took the year off, and you didn't get maternity leave or anything, but for the second semester, I had her in October, and I was kind of bored. And Grant Reddick, who was the supervisor on the Calgary Board of Education of drama, phoned me and said, Hetty Talib is going to have a baby, and we can't find anyone to replace her. Would you come to Henry Wisewood for 1 semester? And so I talked to my husband about it, and we had a good babysitter that was with Carla for like 12 years. So I said, what do you think? And he says, oh yeah, do it. I do. Go for it. So, and again, it was my truth. Like, I was not a happy camper at home. I could do everything on Monday, and then what was I going to do for the rest of the 4 days? And I had a really good kid. She just ate and slept. So I went to Wisewood for that 1 semester. But I had come from a school where people were pretty, jocks talk to drama types and whatever. Anyway, this school, at that time, and I don't think it probably doesn't happen anymore, but they had fraternities and sororities and whatever.
Oh, my.
And so one of my technicians in the class, and everybody was really good in the class with each other, but I guess they wouldn't talk when they went out the door. I didn't know this. I had no history there. So one of my techs came in. It was the year someone streaked at the Oscars.
Oh, yes.
And we were doing a play, and one of my boys came and he said, Mrs. Potts, I just have to tell you that so-and-so is being paid to strip and, streak across the stage at the opening night of your play. And I said, oh, that's very good. Thank you very much. So I went to the vice principal and told him, and I said to the kids that night, I said, okay, someone streaks, you just freeze, and you just hold your position, and once he's gone, then you just continue the play, and he'll be, at the front door in handcuffs, and it was you leave for the night. We walked to the parking lot, the vice principal and I, we walked to the parking lot. We saw this guy down to his shorts. He saw us, he got back in his car and he left, so it never happened. But it was a strange dynamic. But it was a place, again, where they were all really good to each other inside, but they didn't necessarily talk to each other out in the hall.
You taught high school for many years, and then you taught university drama.
Yes. Now, I ended up I retired in 99.
Oh, yeah, when Marilyn says she's going to, and never again.
Yeah, I retired in 99, and in June. And that fall, I got a phone call from St. Mary's University because it wasn't a student of mine, but it was a student, one of his friends was head of the student council at St. Mary's. It was St. Mary's College at the time. And they had sports and whatever, but they had nothing for the other kids to do. And so they said, we want to do a play. We want you to come and direct. So they paid me to go and direct a play, which I did. And I directed a play for like 3 or 4 years. And then, of course, it was so much work, they wanted credits. So I started the drama program. So I created a drama program and got it okayed by the government or whatever. And now they have a complete drama program there.
Was there a difference teaching high school kids versus university kids? And I guess what I'm really asking is, are they more confident? Is it a better play?
It's probably a better play because they're older and they have more life experience. They aren't necessarily... Confidence is a strange thing because sometimes people are confident when they shouldn't be. Everybody thinks that extroverts make fabulous actors, but the best actors are introverts. Actually, I have found in my experience, because they internalize and they can become someone else, so they are becoming that person. Actors are parasites. They play off each other, hey? I say something and you pick up on it and I answer, and I always used to say to the kids, I can say something to you, like, you're ugly, and you'll either slap me across the face, which gives me one reaction, or you'll say, oh, I know it's okay, and will give me another reaction. But people forget that in acting, you are so dependent upon the other person in the play. So it's not necessarily about you, it's about how you react to the other person, which is why improvisation is so wonderful. Because when you teach improvisation, you teach them to always say yes. You never say no. You always accept ideas. I love directing. The thing about directing is you have all these talented students, no matter what level, who feed you stuff, and then you pick and choose, what's going to happen depending on the play. But the offers come from them. And that's why people like to act and do drama, because they can use their own creativity.
The arts for me have proven a way to get in touch with my feelings, and I don't, I played music, and that also did the same thing. But I think we live in a world that I think is changing, but feelings are dangerous, and especially I grew up at a time when I think feelings for men and young boys are dangerous, and it's almost like that's what you're asking. You're asking them to disrobe a little bit emotionally and be vulnerable. Is that a good thing, and why?
Well, I think it's always a good thing to be true to yourself. It's not always an easy thing. I think that it's hard. It's hard being a teenager now. Perhaps it was hard. It was hard. It was hard all throughout. It's always hard being a teenager because you don't know what you want to do, and people are on your case and they want to tell you what to do. And now it's like you hear so much about, like parents are still talking to university profs about their kids and whatever. You need to be allowed. You need to be allowed to fail. You need to be allowed to make mistakes because that's how you learn. And we're not sometimes as adults, we're not trusting enough with students. I think that I learned more from students than they probably ever learned from me. And I think because I trusted them, I can think once of, even with my own daughter, because I think she's a wonderful human being and a wonderful teacher and competent and whatever. But I can remember getting a phone call from a teacher at her school saying, your daughter is going around with the wrong type of kid. And I said, okay, thank you very much. My daughter comes home and I say, okay, I got this phone call and this is what they said. And my daughter looked me straight in the eye and she said, did they ever maybe think I was being a good example for them? I don't do drugs. I don't sleep around. I don't judge my friends. They are my friends. And her mother just shut up because, and to this day, she's still friends with those girls.
Now, I love that your daughter, Carla, also became a teacher. So is that something you encouraged her? I mean, this is that idea of mother-daughter wisdom.
Yeah,
something got passed down.
Yeah. I never encouraged her not to be a teacher. She was a dancer as well, so she did a lot of dance, and my granddaughter does a lot of dance. She loves teaching too, and I think teaching is, you never know what you do as a teacher, I still have people come up to me that I don't even remember. I'll remember you if you were in a play, but we're talking like 40 years, 42 years, but someone that I just had in a Drama 10 class and will come out and say, oh, you helped me so much. You don't realize you've done that. What you do is you allow them to excel. You allow them to write that essay. You allow them, all of teaching is like that. Drama, it's a little easier because they're doing something they love. And you can always find something good to say. And then you tell them. I still do that. I still go to my former students' plays who are like 50 now, whatever. And if I think they've done something that they need help with or whatever, because I have no filter, will tell them. And they just say thank you.
Well, when I told a few people I would be talking to you on the Secret Heart podcast, and there were a few people who were like, oh, it's about time. Oh, Marilyn.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, there is I think in a city our size, right, and we're, I don't know, 1 million people maybe, when there's an extraordinary educator for a number of years, as you're just saying, the concentric circles are infinite. And now your daughter's doing the same thing. Now I'm curious about, so when your daughter was little, I imagine she sat watching drama rehearsals a lot because these things happen outside of school hours.
Oh, of course. But she had a father too who coached volleyball. So she either came to my school and watched the rehearsal and did her homework or whatever, or she went to a gym and watched volleyball and did her work or whatever. Her life had to revolve around ours, so we weren't those parents where, we have to be home at 2 because the kid has to sleep. Well, she has to sleep, she sleeps with whatever we're doing or whatever. And we're a tiny family, we are 3, and I have a lovely son-in-law and a granddaughter, so we're just the tiniest of families. But that we all revolve around the arts,
Is it different with your granddaughter than it was raising your daughter? First of all, you're not working as much. That would be one immediate thing.
Oh, yeah. I'm way more relaxed with my granddaughter. with my own daughter, I was always, I mean, you're always teaching and you're always being the mother and I gained tough love at home just as well as at school. With my granddaughter, I'm way more relaxed. And we went out and had a grandma, granddaughter lunch the other day. And she got Indigo card. So we went to Indigo and then we had lunch. Then we had a long chat about her dance because she's a lovely dancer. And but I think, and Carla learned this too, I think you learn confidence in any of the arts, hey? And you learn what you can do and what you're good at and whatever. My granddaughter is a beautiful modern dancer, but it's right off the wall. So she knows that an adjudicator is either going to like modern or not. And you live with that, So you go out there and you do your best. And if you don't get that big mark or whatever, it doesn't matter. And that's the important thing. And I taught that with my own daughter as well. Though I can remember the last time my own daughter, she had an extended arch, and she fell off the arch one time in one of her very final performances or whatever. She came backstage and she says, "Don't you dare tell me it's okay." But
oh, I love that there's the tradition of your granddaughter with all these wonderful things about Marilyn Potts. We're going to have a long lunch and we're going to have a chat. We're going to talk about reading and select a book.
Yeah.
Was there another book you wanted to talk about? You talked about Anne Michael's Held, which I'm looking very forward to reading.
Breakfast with Seneca by David Fiddler. Mm-hmm. I have just read that. See, as I am now going to be 80, I've learned a few things from that book, and I should have read that book when I was a lot younger. Okay. I think it's the important thing that I've learned. A few things. One is, don't worry about what's out of your control, because it's out of your control. The only thing, I mean, I've always been uptight about if I want something to happen and it doesn't happen and whatever. Well, that's wasted energy. I should have learned that a long time ago. All you can do is work on your attitude when things are out of your control. So you can either accept it or you can reject it. I can remember one time I wanted to do a musical called Working. And one of the songs had swearing in it or whatever, and I wouldn't have done that song, but I gave it to the principal to see and whatever. He wanted to see what it was like. And he read it, "You can't do this. That's terrible." I said, "Well, I wouldn't do that song. You can't do this." "That's fine, no problem." So I did one of Shakespeare's plays, which had more sex and whatever in it than anything else.
Hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And the other thing is living in the present moment. We spend too much time talking about the past and too much time saying what if or looking to the future, when in actual fact we are missing out on the important thing of the moment. Like we are having a lovely discussion, as we do every time we go for lunch. Mm-hmm. It's been a long time since we've seen each other, and that doesn't matter because we are of the same, we're soulmates, we're of the same milk.
Yes, there is a kindred spiritedness between us. Yeah.
And so, and I think the other thing is to surround yourself with positive people. I know when I retired, I mean, sometimes people complain all the time. And I used to think, why do you complain if you just do something else? So whatever.
Oh, whatever. What a great conversation. I'm so glad you said yes and followed your secret heart and came down to have this talk today. It's just a pleasure to share it with people because a lunch with you is just, I learned so much. And I feel so affirmed.
Thank you. Well, you should feel affirmed. You yourself have lived a wonderful life. Mm-hmm. And I mean, like we didn't talk about the board at Alberta Theatre Projects, but I always felt I was on that for 23 years.
That's how we met.
Yes. I always felt that I could explain what the artists were trying to do. But the suits had to explain to me that you had to be sustainable and you had to watch your money and you had to do whatever. And so there was a symbiotic relationship which seemed to work.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I spoke both languages at that time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've only been one language.
But what a language, what a show. Marilyn Potts, thank you so much for coming down today. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. All the best.